Hi everybody, I'm Mike Bautista, and I'm going to talk about mix. Oh, anyway, Sir Laravel mix a lot, and at least I got a little bit of chuckle out of that. So what is Laravel mix? Does anybody know? Laravel mix provides a fluent API for defining webpack build steps for your application using several common CSS and JavaScript. And that comes directly from the Laravel mix docs, which is in the introduction. But what does all that mean? Provides a simple interface to compile your assets while using an asset bundler. It ships with Laravel and is easy to install. It may not work with all your projects, and you are not required to use it. In fact, Jeffrey Way says it's actually limited. And it has a lot of options and methods that are easy to configure. But why would you want to use a bundler? So a lot of times you want to use a bundler to compile assets like modern JavaScript and this font. You can easily add plugins like Node.js and PostCSS to add so that you can automatically add prefixes to CSS styles. It removes styles and classes. JavaScript functionality that isn't used. This is also known as tree shaking. You can copy files from one place to another. You do hot module reloading for single page apps as well as and other stuff as well. So where did it come from? So Mix was created and is currently maintained by Jeffrey Way, who is also creator of Lyrica. Previous to 5.4, Laravel shipped with Elixir. And if you don't know what Elixir is, that's essentially like predecessor. Did the same thing. And because of the fact that Laravel was also, Elixir was also maintained by Jeffrey, he updated the webpack instead of, and after that he changed the name to Mix. So what do you need to make it work? So you need like Node.js, NPM, and webpack. So just a little background on what Node is. Node is JavaScript that is built to server. Just like Apache and Nginx, it can be used as a web server. Built on Google Chrome's V8 JavaScript engine. It can be used on Mac, Linux, and so what is NPM? Package manager installed with Node.js. NPM is the JavaScript. What Composer is the PHP. Developers can use it to share code. You can use it through command lines using applications such as Bash, Terminal, or Arch. So what is Webpack? The bundler. Webpack reviews the whole project and takes assets that need to be built and bundled in a single file. It's very similar to bundles like Browserify and SSH. But some of these use a task runner on the side, and others have very large. Webpack uses a config file written in JavaScript to set up its entry, output, loaders, and plugins. Webpack is very fast out of the box, but mostly this depends on your config. Webpack offers tree shaking, minifying, and deduping. Optimize your code. It can extract code and place it in different files for caching. And you can configure hot module reloading to keep the state of the page. Only reload the module instead of the actual page itself. This is very helpful for React-based apps. So Laravel Mix uses Webpack behind. So why use Mix instead of Mix? Takes away the complexity of setting up and configuring web. This can become difficult when adding CSS images and fonts to your code. Provides a simple API allowing you to chain methods and build files from several sources without too much difficulty. even if you have an existing code base that uses standard CSS, jQuery, vanilla JavaScript, Mix can compile it and give you benefits such as minifying, versioning, and cache listing. Since Mix ships with Laravel, it is very easy to install and use by typing a few simple. So here's an image of basically what happened. When you install Laravel, you get two directories, right? I'm sorry, on the left, as you see, it shows a resource, and on the right, it shows. What happens is that basically it takes all the files, all the files and directories inside of the resources assets directory, and it compiles and bundles all those together. Basically doing something, and also like doing pre-shaking, duping, optimization, minifying, and stuff. And then it takes it and it publishes it to your public directory, so that your website users can actually see and consume. When it does that, so that's basically. Now the nice thing about Mix is it also comes with some pre-configured libraries and preprocessors out of the box. Most of these, so you have Babel, which compiles modern JavaScript. You have Stylus, Sass, PostCSS, which is the one that auto prefixes your CSS. Browser sync can reload a page. It's kind of like a watcher. So when you save a file, it'll reload it automatically, like constantly be doing F5 or Command R or whatever. It can compile TypeScript out of the box. It can also compile less. So how do you use Laravel Mix? Since Mix is shipped with Laravel, all you need to do is run this command: npm install. It will basically take all the packages that are listed in package.json and install them in your npm _ module. Package.json file has all you need to get started, but you will need to have Node and NPM installed. That is one thing. That's a major requirement. So after you install, all you need to do is run one of these lines. You can either run npm dev or watch, and basically what that does is that'll take all the Mix assets, all your resources assets, and compile them. Or you can run npm run production. And what that does is that will not only take those assets, but it will also minify the files for optimization for your production. Here's the webpack.mix.js file. And as you can see, it's very simple when it comes out of the box. It basically tells what directory to pull your JavaScript from and what directory. The same with your Sass as well. Let's set up a project. Oh, this one. Oh, good. Already good. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, we have a bare bones site. All this has is some HTML.
You can drag it over. Left of it. Just drag it over a little bit. It looks fine on the share, but
yeah. Okay, there we go.
Perfect.
Oh, sorry, I failed. Anyway, as you can see, this is basically, this is an HTML file. Right? Now there are styles in there, but so far we haven't built. So how do you do that? Let's install. Let's run npm install. Now, while this is doing this, I'll show you essentially what it's doing. Basically, what's wrong? Here's your pack. Oh, your package.json file has all these dev in it, and essentially, it's putting everything into this node modules directory. So it's installing everything inside. Right? Now, the other thing that the package.json file also has is that it has your scripts that you're going to run, such as npm run dev, npm run watch, production, all that. So it uses this file for both things. Such as for both. How can I say it? For both installing and running your script. Now, when you're running this, so like I said, here's your nodes module directory. It installs all of that, which is really also now. Okay, so also on top of that, when you like watch the terminal, or if you ever watch the terminal, it'll show you all the output. It'll show you some output of like whether things have been tested, what has been installed, if there are any errors, things like that. So since we're here, since you've already got this stuff installed, let's run npm run dev. Now, as this is building, go back to the actual project, see what's happening here. So it takes the resources assets directory and it takes all those files. If you notice now in the public directory, we have a CSS and CSS JS file. So from here, it takes modern JavaScript and compiles that into this file right here, which is what Webpack it takes. So it's like Webpack-based file, right? It's also turned into, current JavaScript that a browser can actually. And it also does that with Sass because of the fact that you can't read Sass, or like a browser can't read Sass. You have all these imports on the top. You also have like regular CSS. So Mix can also just do regular CSS and vanilla JavaScript. So you don't necessarily have to use, Vue or ES15 or 2015 or any of that stuff. You can just use regular vanilla JavaScript and CSS and we'll still do the same. But the benefit to that, though, is that you can also version it, you can also minify it, and then here's your CSS file that it all created from like all the NPM packages that you pulled in, along with your resources assets directory. Now, let's go back to the site and see what it looks like. Well, looky there. Look, it's a nice style. Isn't that that's pretty. Anyway, but what if you decided one day that you wanted to rename your JavaScript? It's really simple to change that with Mix. So if you want to rename it and name it correctly, type profit, which this is not working well either. So now you've renamed JavaScript. You've renamed your JS directory to JavaScript. All the same files live in it and everything like that. So what happens if you run it without changing your webpack.mix? Basically what happens is that it's going to give you an error automatically so that you know what you've messed up, which is really nice. And that's one of the things about like NPM, but it also is something that, it's really nice that NPM gives you that, but it's also something that provides split. So if you go in here, you modify your webpack.mix file. And you save that, and then you run it again. Now you've got your files again, and it became really simple. You can rechange the architecture as long as your main source file remains the same, or you place it in another directory, you update your webpack.mix.js file. You can recompile your directories, recompile your CSS and JS. Not that big. Now, let's say one day you come and you want to actually version it, and it looks like I've already added versioning. But anyway, let's say that you want to version it, right? So with versioning, it's very simple to actually add versioning as well to your site. All you have to do is that
you want to show what that looks like without versioning?
Oh, sure. Oh, and I guess this is kind of
Good question.
Mm-hmm.
What does versioning do? Why should it work?
So the nice thing about versioning and what it does is that it gives you caching. a cache busting capability. So if you notice, you'll notice in your view source on where the CSS and where the JavaScript, you don't really have any you don't have any way to like make sure that it's like it hasn't been cached yet. So in there, if you reload that page, your CSS file is already any new styles or changes that you've already added. It may not pick it up right away. You might have to do a hard work, right? Well, the nice thing about versioning, what that can do is that, so if you add versioning to this, and this is how simple it is to add versioning. You add version to you can chain your methods as well. So your mix file can actually become quite large, but it still makes it very easy instead of having to modify it quite a bit bigger. And then Laravel provides a nice little method that basically will add the cache to it, the cache ID to it. And if we just comment out these two lines, and we run this again, and then we go in here, and also if you notice, it gives you a nice little like notification that your build has been successful. Then if you go in here, you can see your IDs that are appended now to your app.js or your app.js or your app. So that helps reduce, so that helps with caching, allows for cache busting, things like that, so that you're no longer in a situation like somebody has to do a hard work. You don't get a phone call saying, "How come I'm not seeing these changes on my machine?" Another thing that I'd like to show you before we go back is I want to show you what it does when it do some production. So the thing about production, well, because of the fact that it's minifying, it does take a little bit longer. But a command like this just takes a little bit longer. What it's doing behind the scenes is that's where the tree's shaking, the optimization and things like that. So if we were to open up app.js again and app.css again, you notice how the file is automatically minified just because you ran npm run. Same with app.js. So let me show you some other things.
So go back to the terminal real quick.
Where did I go?
So it shows you the size there.
Yeah, it also shows you the size of like what your files are, which is really helpful also, so that you have a pretty much upfront idea of what optimization. Thank you. So there are also options and methods that come with Mix as well that make it very easy to add things and set defaults also. So here are some options. These defaults can be set for your project. And some of these methods or some of these options actually have methods that you can set per like build as well. So here are a list of methods that are available. And by the way, like I said, you can chain all. CSS, as shown in those logos, you can do Sass, you can do less, you can do post CSS. For JavaScript, you can do vanilla JavaScript, React, TypeScript, Babel, figure Babel through it. And then there's quite a bit others as well. You have extract, browser sync, combine. All of these will do the same. Like can just be can make your webpack or your webpack.mix file just whatever you can version, you can minify, so you can just build out whatever configure. And Mix gives you all these out of the box. Really simple to chain up. To chain these configurations up. And you can also configure Webpack through Mix as well. So if you see there's Webpack config in there. So if you have like a package or something like that, you want to add in without actually like going into the Webpack config file, Mix will do that. Or Mix, you can add code in there and Mix will pin it. And if you have any more questions, or if you have any other, if you want to find out some more info, you can always go to the Laravel docs 5.6 and the github.com. I'll show you what they look like. So here's the documentation on Laravel. It's relatively in-depth, but if you want some more in-depth information, right here on the top, it says Laravel Mix right there. You can click on that and it will take you. And then if you want to like actually go into the docs itself from on the GitHub, it will take you to this. And this is quite a bit more in-depth as well. So like if you just look at the JavaScript, that'll give you quite a bit of a background. Like if you want to learn more what makes